You
ready, Turner?
I'm just double checking, make sure. Yep, it's on YouTube now, so we're good to go.
Wait, can I share this before?
Before we start, yeah.
You
should be able to do it now, Mr. Cockfield.
Yeah, okay.
Ms. Green is having some fun with these images.
I didn't know you all could see that.
Yes.
What am I sharing something?
You are the appropriation status.
Oh, okay. Everyone can see that?
Yep.
Okay.
All right, well, let's go ahead and, you ready, Mr. Turner?
I am.
All right, let's like to call the meeting of the Finance Committee for the East Cleveland Public Library to order. Time is 5:03 p.m., Thursday, February 11th. Mr. Turner, can you call the roll?
Sure can. Mr. Silvera?
Here.
Ms. McDonald?
Here.
All right, and also here we have Mr. Latimer, Mr. Cockfield, and myself. And
Ms. Green.
Ms. Green, are you just audience?
No, she's part of the meeting, Mr. Turner.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you. We've had the roll call. Is there any issues with the agenda? Ms. McDonald, have you had a chance to peruse the agenda?
Yes, I have, and I find no issues.
Okay. Okay, we'll move on to the next item, financial statements. Mr. Cockfield, you can proceed.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Silvera. I wanted to begin. I hope everyone can see the first document that I have on the screen. It's the appropriation status for the month of January. Anybody having any difficulty with that?
Nope, I also have it on my laptop that I'm looking at the same time, so.
Okay, good. What this does, and for all that might not know, what this does is give us a picture of actually year-to-date activity. As everyone can see from this column, these are year-to-date expenditures, and since we're only dealing with 1 month, this is 1 month activity. Our unencumbered balance is exactly what that is. It simply represents what we've appropriated less what we've spent year-to-date, and it gives us a year-to-date expenditure out here in the far right-hand column. So this is a 1 month snapshot of our activity beginning January 1, and these are temporary appropriations. This is our temporary appropriation for our general fund, and it simply, as I said, it simply represents 1 month of activity. That's basically it. There's not much to say, only because it is a 1 month report. So we're 1 month into the year, and we will be monitoring this as we go along. The appropriations, which I'm going to be discussing further, these are temporary. Our permanent appropriations, which I'm going to be presenting shortly after I go through these financial statements, will basically give us a picture of what we intend to be budgeting for the balance of the year. This particular appropriation makeup holds us through March 31st, at which time we have to pass a permanent budget which covers us for the balance of the year. So once again, this is a 1 month picture.
Okay.
Any questions?
No, so far so good.
I'm
going to move on to the next one. Yep.
Yeah, I'm going to jump to the next report. Is everyone seeing this?
Yeah, we're seeing it.
Oh, okay. Cash summary by fund.
We see that you had a file open. We can't see the actual document.
Yeah, you haven't opened the file yet.
You have to go back to the screen share and switch to another screen.
Okay.
There you go. I think that's it.
Is that
You can make that bigger. Yeah.
Is that it? Everyone can see it?
Yep.
Yes.
Cash summary. Yeah.
Okay, great, great. Okay. Again, this is a one month picture. We have balances that were carried forward. We have $1,051,641 carried forward in our general fund, and a total cash balance of $1,156,524 carried forward. We have revenue. These are revenue that we received. No transfers, no advances. Here's our total fund and revenue. Expenditures for the month. And then we come over here to our fund balance and our pooled fund balance. And this is our total cash at the end of January, $1,205,177.80.
Okay, and I'm assuming the Performing Arts Center Fund and the Coronavirus Relief Funds are grants?
The Coronavirus Relief Fund was a $25,000 grant from the state. The Performing Arts Center, this is just a carry forward from the $50,000 that we had received from the Cleveland Foundation.
Okay,
there was very little activity last year as a result of COVID, so these balances simply remain.
okay, do you have a grants management report that outlines the reporting that you would give to the donor and also outlines the expenditures per the grant requirement that you can provide us as well? Remember, we wanted to try to do that on a quarterly basis, provide a grant management report.
Yes. Well, the Performing Arts Center grant, that grant has, that report has been submitted. These are simply balances that we're carrying forward.
Yeah, I know. I understand, but we ought to be able to get remember, we wanted to start getting the grant the board, be able to provide to the board on a quarterly basis the grants management report, so they can actually see how it's structured, what it entails, and so we're seeing what the donor is seeing in terms of when they review and make assessments of our production on the grant. So yeah, we want to be able to see that ourselves, so we can see, and obviously if anybody has any questions of the process, but at least everybody will be on the same page in terms of how the process goes and how the documentation is handled between the library and the donors.
Well, I think Ms. Green has some information that she's going to present in that regard. Am I correct, Ms. Green?
It won't be to that full detail, but I have a little bit of detail on that specific grant. I do.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, so this then is our cash balance as of the end of January.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I'm going to here's our let me move this. Wait a minute. Okay. Can everyone see this?
That's the payment listing journal.
This is the payment listing. This represents the payments for the month of January. The checks that were written. Now, just need to point out that everything is showing the circle simply representing that these are all outstanding.
Mm-hmm.
We have not yet closed 2020. 2021 or January of 2021 is ready to be reconciled and closed, but until we close the year, we won't be able to close January. So we're about a week away from closing out 2020 and getting that report submitted to the state. Once that happens, then I'll be able to close January and reconcile that and move directly into February. but these are all the transactions. I'm certain of these being all the transactions for the month of January. And if anyone has any questions, please don't hesitate to give me a call, or if you have questions now.
I see you have some typo errors with the fonts here at the bottom of the page.
With the where?
On the bottom of the page of the, well, at least on mine, it's not showing as clear. It's kind of garbled.
Oh,
On my copy that was emailed to me.
oh, okay. No, there. Yeah. Well, I don't know.
Mm,
Okay. So.
okay.
All right. This is our revenue status. I'm going to move this over. And this is a 1 month snapshot of what we've received. Okay, here's our final budget. We have general property tax, PLF. There's some other amounts that I need to include in here. Grants, miscellaneous receipts for fines and fees, and that will kind of round out our final budget. But what I'm showing right now are the two major sources of revenue, those being our property tax and our PLF.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Okay.
You want to explain the refunds and reimbursement figure?
Oh yeah, good question. I'm sorry. Actually, this is a misclassification. We received $10,000, which I've reclassified to a unrestricted contributions foundations. That's the $10,000 we received from the Cleveland Foundation that has to be decided on how we're going to spend. The $21,000 was actually a refund from the state for the Workman's Comp Bureau. Simply represented a redistribution of surplus that DeWine approved. So that's actually $21,000 and some change that we got from him or got from the state of Ohio.
Okay.
So the 31 that you see should actually be 21, and there should be another $10,000 showing in unrestricted contributions foundations that is not showing.
Okay.
Once I get the report rerun, then I'll submit it. I should have a clean copy that should be ready to go out by Monday.
Okay.
But that's what that $31,000 represents.
Okay. Ms. McDonald, you have any questions or comments so far?
No, so far I'm following. Thank you.
Okay.
All right, here we go. Now we're getting ready to, let's see. This is our permanent appropriations.
So we finished review of the financials for January 2021.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll now move on to the permanent appropriations with special projects.
Yes. Now, Ms. McDonald. Hello, Ms. McDonald?
Yes.
Yeah. Do you have a copy of the permanent appropriations that I sent out?
I did get a copy, yes.
Okay. What I'm going to do is actually jump to my Excel spreadsheet that I use to create this, and let's see, where are we at? This is okay. Can everyone see this?
Yeah.
Yep. Yep.
Okay. All right. This is the spreadsheet that I've actually cut a section of this this spreadsheet out and submitted it to you. But what I wanted to point out and what I want to go through are the components that actually make this up, so that you can see how our permanent appropriations was actually built. As you can see over here, this is our overall budget. Because we report on the basis of programs, this is our public service programs, which is program code 110. And then within that general program code, we have salaries, OPERS, all of the associated expenses that we can apply directly to this program code. And it's the same as all the other program codes: collection, development, and processing, facilities operation and maintenance, information services, and the last one being business administration, which covers a lot of our general expenses, as well as things that are more specifically applied to the overall administration of the library. Within this budget, there are a number of sub-budgets that I want to point out. What we have here, excuse me, is our maintenance budget, and can everybody, yeah, everyone can see this. This maintenance budget, I got, wait a minute, I got stuff. Okay. The maintenance budget is okay, is kind of broken up into maintenance and repair on facilities, maintenance and repair on equipment, other property maintenance, repair, and security services, other property maintenance, repair, other purchases and contracted services, and property maintenance, repair, supplies, and parts. These numbers, just to kind of give you a sense, this 27.6 that I'm showing you, if you go back over here to the overall budget, here's the 27.6. Okay, so this 27.6 is actually made up of all of these pieces and parts that Mr. Cooper has submitted to me.
Okay.
The IT budget, in the same way, we have Teams department, camera, main floor material that Ms. Flood has supplied. Here's this IT supplies and parts. Let's just take this 17.5. If we go over here, this is 17.5 right here. Okay, so what each of them has done is supplied a lot of detail for the things that they intend to do, and what I've done is kind of cut and pasted a lot of the things they've supplied me and put it into our overall budget. So we have total information services, total facilities, operation and maintenance. Here's our collection, development, and processing. This is where we have books and pamphlets, periodicals, and AV materials. Here is our public service department or program code. Here, this 43502 is where a lot of our public service programs are actually being budgeted for. Everything else is pretty straightforward: salaries, OPERS, Medicare, and so forth. Our programs budget right here are the things that we intend to do over the course of the year. Summer reading, Founders Day, Halloween, library card sign up, youth programming, music series, okay, board retreat, Women's Health Month. And then what I have here at the very tail end is basically a summation of the budget compared to what we're expecting to receive. So we have total estimated general fund cash resources. What this represents is our carry forward plus the revenue that we expect to receive over the course of the year. And then if we subtract off our general fund appropriations for the current year, I also have general fund appropriations with major projects, which I'm going to go back and discuss. Then we basically have a carried forward into 2022, and then we have a carry forward into 2022, less our major projects. And then I have the same thing for all of our other funds. So I'm going to go back to the overall budget and start discussing the major projects. Down here, this 241-172 represents the major projects that we had asked Mr. Cooper and Ms. Flood to kind of lay out. And this figure is actually coming from here. This is these are the major projects. So we have our copy print station. The 3672 actually represents the lease cost. This is the lease cost, a 5-month lease cost of the copiers and the equipment that we expect to get. We have elected to look at leasing the equipment as opposed to purchasing. Obviously, it improves our cash flow position. And then secondly, allows us to upgrade the equipment without substantial increase in the monthly cost as the equipment becomes obsolete and or possibly unusable. We have a huddle space line item. This is something that Ms. Flood had elected to put in. We have electrical costs, staff desk and workstation costs. The non-fiction roof, and this is the roof that I believe is over the conference room and extends along the back of the library. And then the last line item, or the second last line item, is new carpeting. This is actually 1/3 of what is estimated to be the carpet cost. We're taking that 1/3, we're taking that $150,000 and chopping it up into 3 years. So this would be what we would spend this year. There would be another $50,000 that we would expect to spend in 2022, and then another in 2023. And then the final piece to the major projects cost is the marquee, and we're budgeting very high on this one. As you can see, $116,500, which is a substantial amount of money. But as I said, we're budgeting high. This obviously could come in low. But the total of our major projects that we're asking for approval for is $241,172, and this figure is carried over here as part of our capital outlay line item under this major projects column. And then if we simply add across to the right, then we have a new general fund appropriation of $2,573,845, which would represent our general fund budget for 2021 if it's approved. Are there any questions? Let me stop talking and ask if there are any questions.
Okay, my first question would be, what's the time frame on the capital outlay? What's the projected time frame on implementing these projects and the expenditure outlay that you're looking at?
I would have to kind of defer to Carlos, but at the same time, I would probably say that we wouldn't begin any spending on these items. And I'm going to jump back here. We wouldn't expect to begin spending on these items until probably the spring, maybe early summer. Correct me if I'm wrong, though.
Right. So the first step would be for us to get the final appropriations budget approved by the board. The following step will be for our team to present a PowerPoint presentation of the capital outlay projects, our anticipated costs, what these projects will look like and what are some of the quotes have come back on, and we'll take those to the various committees. The third process will be getting approval from the board to create a timeline of the process, whether the director gets the okay to spend on certain expenditures on certain projects, or designate those projects that are over what we can legally do on our revised code, and create a timeline around the bidding process. So in this presentation that we will have to the board at the March meeting and committee meetings, we will have all of the projects, what it looked like, the anticipated costs, and the next steps presented to the board meeting. And like Mr. Cockfield stated earlier, once the appropriations budget is approved, once we have the visual discussion with the board, we will have a timeline that we can live with and work with.
Okay.
Okay,
Ms. McDonald, do you have any questions?
yes. For the marquee, what is the average amount or estimate on just marquees, period? You know, because it is, I understand about starting high and going low, but just to get a general idea.
That's a good question. We had, and Carlos, jump in at any time, but we're hearing numbers, and when I say hearing numbers, Ms. Flood has supplied us numbers anywhere from say 75,000 to roughly 110,000. Did that answer your question?
Yeah, and you know, just specifically, I was just looking at that number and compare it with what we are putting towards community engagement to see, you know, how our focus on where we're spending the most money at. So that's why I asked. Thank you.
Okay.
Mr. Cockfield, I think, how much do we have left from the program for the utility upgrade and the energy enhancement? How much is left?
Roughly $5,000.
Are we going to be using any of those funds towards any of these projects?
Oh, yes. Oh, yes.
Okay. So we would expend the balance of that 5,000 on some of these project activities?
Any of these energy saving projects, there are quite a few that could qualify. But yes, we have 5,000, roughly 5,000, a little bit more than that actually. But we have $5,000 that we can apply to some of this.
Okay.
A question, Gerald?
Yeah.
I just wanted to let the committee know that usually when we work towards initiatives and getting external funding, our focus has been programming. However, I've redirected and working closely with our grant writer. We're seeking funders around capital projects. So right now, that's our goal. So some of these costs can get other funds where some of this money will go back or remain in our general fund. So we are seeking external funders for some of these projects.
Okay. Okay. All right, sounds good. Any other questions, Ms. McDonald?
Just to let you guys be aware, I keep it on mute to keep the background noise out. So give me time to hit the button to speak again. So I just want to let you know.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, are there any other comments you want to make in this section, Mr. Cockfield or Mr. Latimer?
I just wanted to mention that there will be a resolution presented to the board for approval of the permanent appropriations. Ms. Cockfield, is that correct?
Yes. I could certainly ask Mr. Silvera if we can have this on the agenda for this month. if not on the agenda this month, it must be on the agenda for next month. So if you feel comfortable with these numbers, we can have it available for Monday or whenever when's the board meeting?
Right now, it looks like Thursday, but we're working with Zaki, either be Thursday or Saturday.
Okay, well, I'm just saying I could have this as part of the resolution for the next board meeting within the next.
Ms. McDonald, would you concur to move this to the board meeting?
Yes, I concur to move it to the board meeting.
Okay, Mr. Carfield, we'll go ahead and do that.
Okay, very good.
That'll be the Finance Committee's recommendation to go ahead and move it.
Okay, very good. Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay.
Yes.
Next item on the, is there any other comments you want to make, or we can just move on to the next item?
No, I'm fine.
Okay, next item is grant report resolution regarding to accept $400 grant from the Friends of East Cleveland Public Library.
Yeah,
Okay. I don't have the resolution in front of me. In support of the library's Black History Month program and our partnership with Caramoo for the virtual programming of the play. We wanted to have an incentive for the public to encourage them and bring some excitement around watching the play. So our technology department submitted application to the Friends to purchase televisions for us to raffle off. And we successfully received those funds, and we purchased 4 smart TVs that will be raffled off at the end of the month for the participants that watch the play and fill out the form.
Okay.
We are really happy to get those funds from the Friends of the East Cleveland Public Library.
Great. Sounds great. And I would assume that we can, Ms. McDowell occurs, and we can just move that to the meeting for approval.
Okay. And also in regards to grant, we have Ms. Green here to give us an update, but I wanted to kind of get more direction and clarification from the board on the agenda in regards to grants, to differentiate between a grant update, which is a grant that we currently received, or there's activity around the grant. This is different from a quarterly report in regards to grants, where we give an overview of all of our active grants and any other communications or actions around a grant. So I just wanted to clarify that. Is that the direction?
And I think the quarterly would gives us an overview of what we're doing, what grants are active, how the funds are being applied, and that type of thing would be, I think, would be kind of appropriate.
Okay, but you're still interested in a grant update if there's something active that we need a resolution around. Okay, so now we have Ms. Green, who co-manages our grant projects, along with Ms. Chambliss, who manages the financial piece of that. So I'm gonna turn it over to Ms. Green.
Good evening, everyone. Can you all hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, so what you are seeing on your screens, can you all see this on your screen? You're going to see a grants management with active grants.
Mm-hmm.
This is our Flux grants management software that we have. What you'll see in front of you is our active grants. Most of these grants have been spent in full already. However, we do have 2 grants, the Ohio Arts Council grant and the $20,000 grant from Cleveland Foundation last year. All of those both grants were for the big Founders Day event, which we wasn't able to have due to COVID. So we are reaching out to both of those organizations to see if we can either use the funds towards something else or if we have to give them back. So right now, those funds are just in holding until we see what they would like us to do with them.
Okay.
Our $25,000 grant from Ohio Library Council and our $50,000 grant from the Cleveland Foundation are both COVID fund grants that we spent on the touchless faucets and toilets and plexiglass, everything for COVID. The 33,000 and the 22,000 were both for the hotspots that we received last year, and both of those are spent in full. And the only grant that we have not spent in full is that 10,000 anonymous donor, which the board will need to choose which project to put that towards.
Mhm. Does the administration have any recommendations on areas that they're looking at that they would be likely to have
You done
considered?
sharing your screen? Are you done sharing your screen?
No, she's sharing her. You have to switch. There's a drop down, Mr. Turner, where you can switch. Unless Mr. Cockfield closes his screen, you have to pick between which screen you want to watch. So
And
Okay,
am I doing something wrong?
either Cockfield needs to close his screen, or you need to switch down to Miss Green's screen.
Mr. Cockfield, up top, you'll see where it says stop share.
Oh, okay. Okay, I'm sorry.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Mhm.
So your question, Mr. Severa, could you repeat that? I'm sorry.
Ms. Green had mentioned there was, I guess, she wanted some feedback from the board on where funds could be applied to that were still in limbo, and I was asking if was there any areas that you had are looking at where you would like to have that focus in terms of where those funds will be applied towards.
We do. Once, because those funds are sitting in our general fund, when we move on the final appropriations, I was going to, whichever the first project that we designate as the first project to go live, I was going to designate those funds where I will do the final report. There's flexibility. So whichever project we move first will be the project that I'll report back to the Cleveland Foundation as the project that we selected to designate those funds to, whether it's the marquee, whether it's the roof, or whether it is the printing copying station. So
Okay.
unless the board wants to designate it, but it's all schematics at this point, because once we get approval, we're gonna be, having spending funds on all of these projects.
Right. Right. Okay. Well, I think your recommendation is going to weigh heavily because you're dealing with the day to day, and you know where the needs are going to be at. So kind of leave that in your hands more so than us trying to come up with something to tell you to do with it versus you already know what will be the best way and what's the best means to apply those funds based upon what's going on program wise.
Okay. And the projects that we submitted are to the Cleveland Foundation when they gave us these funds were parallel to the projects that are listed in our capital outlay.
Okay. Okay.
Are there any questions about our active grants?
Ms. McDonald, you have any questions?
No questions.
Okay. Pretty comfortable. Thank you, Ms. Green.
Thank you all.
Thank you, Ms. Gray.
Okay. Hello, Ms. Flood. All right, so we're finished with that. So let's move on to the next item, internal control policy. Mr. Cockfield, you want to go ahead and start that discussion?
Yes, I'm going to try sharing my screen again. Okay, here we go.
While Mr. Cockfield was bringing the screen up, I wanted to share that this internal control policy will be one piece of the.
Am I sharing?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay. Okay. This is another revision. The previous revision came as a result of result of us using the other accounting system. When we switched back to UAN, there were some modifications I needed to make, and that's what I've tried to do. It's fairly straightforward. I would hope that between Mr. Silvera and Ms. McDonald, you read over it see if there's anything in it that you feel needs to be modified or enhanced. What I've tried to do, I'm kind of scrolling all the way down to the tail end of this thing. What I've tried to do is include some screenshots of the UAN system. Nothing phenomenal, but I guess basically to kind of show maybe from a procedural standpoint what actually goes on in setting up a purchase order. This is receiving deposits, and here we have making a payment and then making a transfer. This is basically a transfer. This is the screen that's used to make accounting system transfers between our primary account and our Star Ohio accounts, or vice versa.
Mm-hmm.
And so please read it over. Again, if you see anything, and this is procedures using ADP, because we use an external payroll system. So please read it over. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to ask, or any criticism, comments. I'm certainly open. So,
Okay. I have one question that is just off the top of my head.
Yes.
Now that we have the donate button on the website, have you put together necessary modifications in to cover that in terms of how the money comes in, how it's posted, where it's accounted for at?
That's an excellent question. And to directly answer your question, no, there's nothing in here specifically that addresses the donations. I can tell you though that we did get, I want to say it was $120. I'm going to look at I think it was $120 that actually came in through the website.
Okay.
That represented the donation, but to your point, Mr. Silvera, I'll add that. Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
Mr. Latimer?
Okay, I wanted to share that this, we need to be mindful that this internal controls policy will be one policy that will be part of the East Cleveland Public Library policies and board bylaws manual, which the board recommended that we bring all our policies in one place, as well as our auditor suggested that we also make our policies available on our website to the public, and as well for their access. One of my concerns, basically, I have not read over the internal controls policy. However, we are in a environment where there's a lot of cyber theft and incidents happening. So as we look through this internal controls policy, we have to look to make sure there's no things that will put us at risk. I'm not the expert. I'm not the security expert. I'm not the financial expert, but we all need to look through the lens before we make it public.
Well, my first thought would be not to make this particular document public, and maybe be able to refer to it, but not necessarily put the entire document up for public. This is an internal document, so it should be kept internal. At least that's my thought.
Great, I'll concur. If Ms. McDonald, if you feel the same way, and there's something that we can take out of the manual that we are creating.
Yeah, I do agree, since it should remain internal.
Great, thank you.
Let me, if you don't mind, I'll kind of share with you the value. When the auditors come in, they ask for this document, and what they do is that they review the document, and then they, depending on what they see, they build some of their audit procedures or their testing procedures around what it is they say, around what it is we say we do.
Mm-hmm.
So So they in turn basically audit the procedures that we have approved, or the policies that we have approved. So if there's anything in this document that they in turn find that we're not doing, then we become or we get dinged, if you will, for not following our own policies. So so there is a value to having it. Now, whether or not we make it public, that's certainly up to the board. But I just wanted to kind of point out the value that it does serve, not only in providing checks and balances for how we handle our finances, but at the same time, it also provides a guide to the auditors in terms of how they come in on their audits.
No, I think this definitely is eternal, so that's where it should stay eternal. And use it as our own guidepost in terms of making sure that we do what we need to do. And if a outside organization or individual has questions about it, we can answer those specific questions, but without giving access to the entire document. It just a matter of responding on a per specific situation.
Okay.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you. So we'll definitely start to dive in and review it. And I thank you for the work that you did in putting this together. I know when I first came on the board, that it was non-existent. So so you know, I definitely want to appreciate having this document in place that helps kind of help guide us and keep us on a straight path to make sure as an institution in the city of East Cleveland, we are above reproach in terms of how we manage in our affairs.
Okay.
Okay. Any next subject is contract and vendors.
This is something I'm pulling together now. Mr. Latimer had asked, and I think this is as a result of Mr. Rashid's request. He had asked that we pull together a list of our vendors or the ones that we have contracts with, and I'm pulling that together and should have that ready. If not, well, certainly by the first of the week. Then I'll make that available to the board for your review.
Okay. Okay. Next item, checking account signatures.
Yes, this is something that we need to. I'm sorry. This is something we need to get updated. And I need Mr. Silvera and I guess Ms. McDonald. We're I think both of you are the signers on the account, or it's the finance committee, if I'm not mistaken, or president and the finance committee chair. I'm not sure which, but we need to get those signatures updated. Okay. So as soon as I'm able, I'm going to need Mr. Silvera. I'll need yours, and I think I'll need. I'm assuming it's going to be Mr. Rashid's as well. Okay. Okay.
Okay.
Who are the current signatures right now, Mr. Cockfield?
I'm sorry?
Who are the current signatories right now?
Ms. Turner, and I think you and Ms. Turner are on there now. I believe. I just
you think Gerald?
Very good signature, so I'm not sure who's on it, to be honest with you. Okay. But I think Turner.
Let's get that up to date quickly.
Yeah. Okay. All right, great. Audience participation. Do we have anybody listening in from the public?
Let me see. Give me 1 second. I don't see anyone.
Okay. Well, if there's no more information for the good of the committee, I'll call this meeting to adjournment at 5:52 p.m. Thank you, everyone, for participating into this meeting. And I guess we'll be getting ready for our ad hoc committee meeting at 6 o'clock.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Ms. Sharpley will not be joining us. She has a power outage she's dealing with right now.
Okay,
She says she has the capabilities to listen, but she can't be on Zoom.
okay.
No, she just asked Mr. Turner, are we using the same call-in number? Is there a call-in number for her for Zoom?
I can find one.
If you can find one,
One second.
can you text it
Yeah, I
to
think
her?
it's listed in the email.
She can't even get to her email right now, unless I don't know if her library's email is.
I think I can text it over to her.
You text the contact over to her. Ms. McDonald, while we're waiting, I'm still waiting for that information. I didn't get the email you're gonna send me.
Yeah, I'm gonna have I'm gonna have someone send it over to you for me, and they'll actually I'll send her a text now to send it over to you.
Okay. So you have my email, right?
Yeah, I have it.
Okay.
All right, I'll be right back.
Hey, where you going? This is your meeting.
Let's see here. What is it saying?
Mr. Turner,
Yes, sir.
while you have them both here, this might be a good time to poll them on, before we talk to Zaki tomorrow, on the best date
Oh,
for the meeting next week.
I've already gotten information from them. I sent all of the information from the poll results to Mr. Rashid earlier today.
Okay, so we kind of need to let everybody know.
Right.
Will it be on Thursday? Will it be on Saturday? Will it be at 2? Because we're in this in between before we actually designate what the new times will be.
Yeah.
So I believe people are anticipating our board meetings to be the third Saturday of the month in the afternoon. So having it on this coming Thursday may throw people's schedule off. So we got to be mindful of that.
Okay. Right. And
Okay, I'm back. Ugh.
Oh,
Ugh.
I'm sorry. It was Miss Hunt. My apologies, Miss McDonald. I sent the
Okay, I'm looking like, what am I?
sorry about that.
That's okay.
That should do the trick. Okay.
So did everybody get a chance to review the treasure trove of information that we have?
Before you guys get into a discussion, I just want to let you know that we are still streaming on YouTube right
Okay.
now. We're not recording, but we are still streaming.
Okay. In a minute, we'll go ahead and get this meeting started. Who else? So Ms. Shapley's the only one that's not going to be able to be available then, right? Via Zoom.
She's going to come in via phone.
By phone. Okay.
She's going to be doing Zoom, but via phone. So
Okay.
I'm hoping I should see her soon. Trying to come on.
You want to try to reach out to her, or is she...
I just sent her a text with the
Okay.
phone number to come on.
Okay. That might be her.
Hey, send you the call-in number. It's a call. It is a Zoom, but you can call in as well. So he just texted to you the number to call in. Okay, I know you had some internet issues. Okay, okay. So, oh wow. Okay, so we'll wait for you to call in. If you can't get in, just text me and I'll let Joe know to proceed. Okay, thanks. Okay, bye. She's about to call in right now.
Okay.
She's halfway there.
Hmm?
You're coming in, Mr. Turner?
She's almost there.
Okay.
Give her one moment. She's almost there. That's Miss Floyd.
Mhm.
All right. She's still working. She hasn't given up on us yet.
What's so hard about dialing in, Mr. Turner? What is going on there?
I think she's trying to figure it out. Yep. Hold on.
If it's a problem, just put her on speakerphone with you, Mr. Turner. We can go. Or move on with the meeting, not go.
She just dialed the wrong number, that's all. We're only a few minutes behind, not too bad. There we go.
Oh, there we go. Yay.
Hello?
Hello, how are
Hello,
you?
Ms. Sharpley.
I am so sorry. I'm well, and how's everyone?
Doing all right.
All right, well, we have everybody here. So, Mr. Turner, you want to go ahead and
All
call this meeting together? You want to call the roll?
All right, let me start the recorder here.
We never did do a
Okay.
prepared agenda, so we'll just, this will kind of be an initial ad hoc conversation about all the materials that we have collected and want to go over.
Okay.
Just one moment.
All right.
Yeah, I'm gonna take it. We'll start on the next meeting. Okay, sorry about that.
No problems. Mr. Silvera, if you go ahead and announce the meeting, I'll do the roll call when you're done.
Okay, this is the meeting of the Ad Hoc Committee for the East Cleveland Library Board of Trustees. Time is 6:09 p.m. on February 2nd, 2021. Mr. Attorney, you want to call the roll?
All right. So, Mr. Silvera,
Here.
Ms. McDonald,
Here.
Ms. Sharpley.
Here.
All right, and we got Mr. Cockfield.
Yep, here I am.
All right, and Mr. Latimer.
I'm here. And we have Ms. Flood, she's checking in.
You have a quorum.
Okay, thank you.
Ms. Flood is here as well. All right.
So I just want to kind of give a brief overview of where we're at. Back when I first became a member of this board back in 2014, we had made an effort to acquire the properties behind the library, namely 1724 Deborah Ann Lane, 1726 Deborah Ann Lane, 1734 Deborah Ann Lane, and 1738 Deborah Ann Lane. We ended up finding about this property because the mayor's family, who lives on Elsinore behind the property, adjacent properties, were trying to acquire the property through the mother, who was the primary land tenant for the property on Elsinore. Once we subsequently found out, we made a competing bid for the properties, had the evaluations done per the requirements of for the city, for the land bank. But then politics got in the way, and then it became a situation where the mayor and his family were willing to buy out if we paid their price, and we weren't going to do that. One, because as an elected official, that would be considered a bribe. As also as an elected official, based upon the East Cleveland Charter, a elected official cannot have a direct involvement in any public contract, and land banks are public contracts. So even though as a sitting city councilman at the time, he was ineligible to participate in any land bank property, and so was his family also ineligible to participate in any land bank property. Part of the information that I had pulled together that everyone should have received a copy of was the video footage from the Community Advisory Committee on those discussions regarding that property, where information was documented, as well as correspondence between then President Dr. Mary Rice, and Mr. King, and as well as communication with the board. So there's this historical documentation as well as video footage, which kind of gives the flow of history in terms of how this has developed. But I think even now that Mr. King has become mayor, it's created well, Mr. Latimer, you want to kind of give a brief summary of the conversation you had with Mr. King when you met with him several months ago?
Okay, yeah, so I called out Mr. King was assistant to set up a meeting. We met in University Circle at his request. And my question was, I had a couple questions with him, and he had some questions to me, in regards to the library, the direction of the library. I had some questions about the direction of the city. I asked a question about the property, and will he or his family turn that property over to the library? His comment to me was no. That he acquired that property, his family acquired that property through the legal process. He stated they were meetings prior to me being the interim and permanent director. And there was I think, executive session meeting where the goal was for the library to seek out funding for whatever they were going to do with the building and submit that proposal to city council. Once that proposal was submitted to city council or to city government, he will consider transferring that property over to the library. So this was just a conversation, and I think I documented to Mr. Severa everything. I know this is months ago, so I don't remember every conversation in detail around it, but those were
Right.
the topics. He said that he was not interested in working with our board on this project, not at all.
Okay. Like I said, these properties are still, as far as the last time I checked the record, they're still land bank properties. And he can't, and that's part of the issue trying to deal with Mayor King, is that he has personal interests getting in the way of his responsibility as an elected official. And he cannot be directly involved. That's why my thought is going directly to city council. But, I don't know if anyone saw the council meeting last night, night before last. Our city government is in total dysfunction. So trying to follow due process and making sure our I's are dotted and T's are crossed with a city government that can't even, doesn't even understand what their limitations are and what their responsibilities are as elected officials and public office holders, makes this process a very difficult process. But I think one that we're going to still have to pursue in the best interest for our role as trustees for this library and trying to secure property that I think that by right we should have access to and we should acquire it. I think would be beneficial for our long-term aspirations in terms of where we want to see this library as a leading institution within the city. Has everyone had a chance to kind of review the documents and the videos and everything that were in the files that Mr. Turner had made available for everybody to look at? Ms. McDonald?
I did review, but I didn't have a chance to look over things because I had been out of town. I came back and I'm actually going to be leaving again.
Okay.
But to your point with what is going on with Mayor King, the council also, just so people can understand the magnitude of what is happening, is that the council has not even been properly trained on their policies, procedures, how to do legislation, and there's a training session that the mayor should take as well as council, and that has not been provided to them. More importantly, is that you do have members of council that have been sitting members of council for quite a long time, who still does not have the and I hate to say intellect, but it is to move the council forward in progressive legislation and to ascertain what is appropriate to do and what is not. So, the city's been offered a consultant to come in to try to help them with that. In terms of the land bank, to me, this is kind of like a hostile takeover because he does not have, any business in trying to block the business there. So what I'm trying to do is think of things outside the box when it comes to government, as how we can perhaps make moves maybe on the state level. I'm not certain about the county because we, personally, there's things with the county there in relationships that can make that hard as well. So I'm trying to look at other agencies and resources that we can, bypass council if we can, or get some assistance to come in with council and direct what should be happening.
Mhm. Okay.
There was one little small positive. He reached out to city Cleveland, with us being a repository of records and information, at least around the ordinances.
Mhm.
requested the up-to-date code ordinances. They did respond back to us and said that they have moved all of the code ordinances online through American Legal Publishing Corporation. Uh, and we have the link. We'll make that link available on the library's website. So
Mhm.
amlegal.com. Hopefully they have the most up-to-date ordinances now.
Right. I think one of the things I think we want to do is Solandra Wallace is the land bank coordinator. So I think part of the process is you got to you have to create a paper trail and a document trail to justify whatever direction we decide to go. And I would think a letter drafted to Ms. Wallace to get a clarification on the status of those properties and the status of the applications, and in any decisions that came out of the community advisory committee relative to those properties. So there should be some document trails that that we can get from them to further bolster, because they're public record. So so I think we need to get part of that due diligence, just going back and pulling as much information as we can from them. Uh, I also know the deputy clerk for council real well, so she's agreed to help me from that point of view in terms of being able to ascertain what documentation is available in City Hall that we can acquire that's already as a matter of record. We're dealing with the library and those properties, and try to acquire those properties. So but I want at least the video evidence, you get to see the history of how all this evolved, who the players were, what the conversation was. For one, I was on the board at that time, and there was never, ever any agreement to do anything other than he wanted the library to reimburse his family $600 for the cost of getting the appraisals, property appraisals done, which we were going to do because as an applicant, we had to get our own appraisal for the property as a part of our application. So that wasn't going to happen, and then that's like I said, that would have been illegal payment by the library to a city councilman, which I definitely didn't approve of, before I left the board back in February of 2017. So but I think it was important to have as much background data you have. It should be also the appraisal reports are in those documents. Now just imagine just going back and doing our due diligence and pulling as much data as we can, records as we can, and then look at, because I mean, even if we look at some of our past philanthropic contributors, that maybe we can go to, in terms of putting together something for that. Because I know we had even talked about if we ever decide to do a museum, part of that land could be used for that development as well. So I think the first priority is to get control of those properties, whatever way we can do that. Right now, my understanding is it says city council is in the land bank. It's East Cleveland Land Bank. As far as I know, it hasn't been transferred to the county, even though they've been transferring a lot of property to the county. But I do think it's still in that domain. I think the mayor is trying to keep it in that domain so he can try to manipulate it as best as he can. But he does have limitations. Back in a couple years ago, I filed a ethics complaint against the mayor with the state ethics commission, and that was one of the issues that I had brought to their attention about his attempt to do that. And they did a criminal investigation. Matter of fact, they subpoenaed information from the library in terms of our records that what we had on file, and they also subpoenaed information from the city. And my understanding, talking with Council President Corrine Stevenson, the state issued an order to Mayor King, preventing him from engaging in any transaction involving public property with him or his family. I have to get a copy of that just for my own record, because it was my letter that initiated the investigation in the first place. So among other things, and I think I included that letter in some of the documentation I provided everybody in terms of some of some of the history behind how this has evolved. But I think that's an advantage for us at this point. is having that information. You know, that's why it takes it out of his hands, out of his control. And if, you know, I think we can pull the 3 votes between council. I think we have a majority that we can, if we come with the right package, right information, right history, and educate them behind what's going on and what has happened, then I think we can get a favorable response. But it's going to take a little bit of time, a little bit of diligence just to do the proper paperwork and sit down with council and provide a presentation and at least put it on the track to move in that direction. So this is the beginning of February. I would hope my goal would be sometime in the end of the month, next month, moving from out into a formal role in submitting something to council for their consideration based upon this committee's review and recommendations and additional thoughts in terms of how we may want to go about this process.
I wanted to suggest that any communications moving forward should come out of either the board's ad hoc committee or Zaki as the board president. It reduces liability on our part.
Right.
Nothing should come out under my name as an employee for the library.
Right.
Okay.
Okay.
So, Mr. Severa,
yes,
you say that the property, Brandon is saying that it's owned by, initially it was owned by his mom.
No, these properties in question were never owned by his family. They are adjacent to the property that they own on Elsinore. You know, the multifamily unit that's on Elsinore that they own. These properties are behind it, adjacent to their property.
For whatever reason, because they submitted an application to the land bank, he was entitled, or that he has possession of this property.
Mm-hmm.
So, it's a miscommunications. It's just more about his power that he has in this community.
Right, and that's not right.
Not being properly around the ordinances and the laws and regulations and all of those things.
Mm-hmm.
Well, one of the videos I saw, the first one where Smedley was talking about how, you know, whoever owned the property now, because he made mention that it was owned by his mom, that she turned in the necessary paperwork. She followed the necessary protocol, and that's why the property was granted to her. But how could property be granted to her and it's still sitting in a land bank? And who is reviewing the application to say yay or nay that this property to go? Is it the same people that's blocking it, like Brandon King and Smedley?
Well, it's technically it goes through the Community Advisory Committee, which is headed by Travell Harp and I think Hank Smith and one other gentleman that sits on this committee. They review the property, making recommendations, then it comes before the administration, then submits it to council for approval. So, but he has, when this first initiative went before them, Gary Norton was still the mayor at the time, and Brandon King was a councilman. So he used his relationship with Mayor Norton to kind of stall the process. And then he made an effort to try to compel the library to reimburse him. And at the time he had former library trustees, William Fambro and Devin Branch, willing to side in his favor in terms of what he wanted, you know, from the library. But fortunately, there was a majority of folks who understood that was not a prudent avenue, and it didn't go forward.
Okay.
So I was just thinking about something, and I know that you know, this what we're discussing is open to the public, and I am aware that anyone could be listening and watching, you know, what we're saying. But I did just think of something that I don't know if we have, you know, tried that or not. You know, I can share it after I do some more research on it, but I'm almost certain that we can do it. I think we can definitely do that to get around what's happening. We had tried it on a case we were working with in law school, and actually I saw it play out at the Ohio Supreme Court. So maybe it's something that we can do in terms of that.
Okay, great. Any other comments, questions, suggestions, thoughts? Well, I think as a starting point, this is a good starting point. At least we, as far as the committee, we're trying to pull things together, get some ideas, get some thoughts, kind of go back over some of the ideas that we have, and submit something to the board at our upcoming board meeting. At least we began the conversation and began having that discussion about how to move forward to acquire these properties. I think that is ultimately our goal for the benefit of this institution going forward.
So this has been going on since 2014 and it's 2021, and the property has just been sitting there, just, in the land bank, per se.
Yeah,
with nothing
but I do
happening.
also believe that we've been helping to maintain the properties, right, Mr. Latimer?
That is correct.
That's what yeah, because in one of the videos, that's what Dr. Rice had said, that, that it was the library that was, maintaining the lot, so yeah, that's incredible.
Yeah, it's been far too long, but that's a lot of things in East Cleveland moves a little slow sometimes. So we just have to be diligent and steadfast in our objectives. We're trustees for the library, and the library is one of the leading institutions in the city, and we need to maintain that. And acquiring those properties will give us an opportunity to look at expansions and other development as the situation with COVID-19 pandemics begins to wane, and we begin to look, try to move back to some level of normalcy, but also look at an overall effort, because Euclid Avenue is East Cleveland's front door, and we're on the front door, and looking at the not only the property there, and maybe even the theater across the street, and trying to create a cultural hub right here, and with the library being the center of that effort, I think is a goal worth working towards.
I think, Mr. Severo, that the library is already on the historic registry. I want to say it is.
Yes, we did acquire that. Yes.
Yeah.
We have the evidence right outside the building.
Well,
we have the plaque.
Another question I wanted to ask. In the video, they were talking about shared land use of the property if it was acquired by the library, and they were saying something about what was it, hard cost? I think it was. Mm-hmm. And I wasn't quite understanding that. And it had something to do with a parking lot, or so could you explain that just a little bit?
At the time, that was just part of the conversation. There really wasn't any substantive issue discussions moving forward, because for us, the issue was first trying to acquire the properties, and then once we acquire the properties, then our management team and the board could look at, even from a strategic planning point of view, in terms of how best to utilize those properties in the near term and the long term.
Okay.
Now, acquiring this property is part of our strategic plan. So we have a new strategic initiative where it doesn't expire for another 3 years. So we have a lot of time to try to get that property. And then the next strategic plan, we can, or sooner, we can really develop a plan around how this library and this communities can move forward.
Mm-hmm. So I think it's important for this, at least at this point, to keep monitoring what's going on with those properties, making sure they do not change hands, and just kind of be mindful of the legal procedures that are going to have to play out in terms of how it's going to eventually happen. So right now, there's so much chaos right now in the city hall. They're fighting over permanent budget for this year. Otherwise, if they can't come up with a suitable arrangement, then the budget drops down 85% based upon 85% expenditure from last year's budget. So they could lose a significant portion of spending power if they're not able to provide a budget that the commission is willing to approve. So they have some issues
Wow.
going on. So, and they've been giving a lot of services and a lot of other things. So it's a very delicate process right now that we're going to have to kind of watch and kind of muddle through in terms of how we go about this process.
And can I just add one thing in terms of, something else that's grave to the city of East Cleveland? And Mr. Severe, I don't know if you received my communication, but the city may be in violation also of the state constitution in terms of their civil service commission, which in terms it has to do with everything from their public services to their hiring process, and then even includes their finances too, because it will affect that. So there's a lot of things going on, and there is a state investigation that may come into play rather soon.
Mm-hmm. Yes, I did receive your email. Thank you.
Sure.
Okay. Well, I think as a first start, I think we got a good start. We got some information that was shared. I think, like I said, is you good. I'm still kind of reviewing, going back and reviewing some of the documents because it's been a few years since I looked at all this stuff, and even looking at the videos. And I have to thank Mr. Former East Cleveland resident who passed about a year or so ago, Gerald Struthers. He was responsible for filming those videos and putting them on 44112 News. So he attended every council meeting, every event. He was the city's newscaster, and he made sure everybody knew what was going on. And I miss that brother. He was a very good brother. He very cared a lot about this city, and he spent his own time, energy, and money to videotape and catalog, council meetings, the events, and everything else while he was here. So those videos are definitely a testament to his tenacity and keeping everybody informed of what was going on and bring everything to light. So with that, I think if anyone has anything else to add, I think we may want to just adjourn this meeting, this initial meeting, and as Mr. Turner, if you could put together a copy of the audio video and make sure everybody gets a copy of it so we can kind of review it and then get some notes and comments from committee members, and that'll kind of guide us how we move to our next meeting, if that's agreeable with everyone.
I have a question, Mr. Severa. Will this be, will we meet quarterly, or are you?
I would say, based upon what comes out of the feedback from everybody, but I think one we want to do is kind of do a check, make sure where the properties are. I think maybe a letter to Ms. Wallace, a formal letter to her asking for a status of those properties and the status of our application, and whether or not we need to resubmit an application or where that whole process lies. And then based upon her feedback, that can kind of give us a direction how we may want to proceed and when we may want to meet again.
Okay, so Mr. Turner, we'll work on that. I'll work on that letter. We'll run it by you, and it'll come out of this committee.
Okay.
Okay. And of course, Ms. McDonald, of course, we need your lenses on it as well.
Absolutely.
Great. Well, I thank everyone for your participation, your involvement, your wisdom, your insights, and hopefully by working together as a cohesive team, we can acquire those properties and begin to move forward with a plan on how to best utilize those properties for the interest of the city and for the library. Okay, so
Great.
it's Ms. Sharpley, did you have any comments?
No, I was only able to see one of the videos, and that's one of the. My internet is terrible here, so I was only able to see one of the videos and watch, and review one of the letters.
Mhm.
So that's as as far as I got. But I can't wait to finish the material, and you'll have a whole lot of input from me once I finish the material. I cannot wait.
Ms. Sharpley, we do have hotspots that we can extend to the board as long as you need it. So just communicate with Mr. Turner. We can make that accommodation for you or any other board member.
Oh, thank you, because I just shot a note to Mr. Turner. I don't get anything because my internet is not good here at all. At all. I get my updates when I walk into the library with my laptop.
Wow.
Well, we definitely have to make available one of those hotspots then, because we need you active and fully participating.
Yes, yes.
All right.
Okay, thank you. Ms. McDonald, do you have any final thoughts?
I don't. Thank you.
Okay. Mr. Cockfield, you've been rather quiet over there. You have anything?
No, I'm just listening. I'm just listening. No, nothing to comment on right now.
All right. Well, thank you, everyone. Thank you, Mr. Latimer, for your efforts. Oh, now you changed your background. Now you're back to.
Had to let you guys know I was here.
So thank you, Mr. Latimer, for your due diligence behind this and trying to stay on top of it and best you can with everything that you handle on your plate. So we definitely appreciate you for your time and effort that you're putting in for the benefit of this library and this community.
Thank you. It's all about the community. So thank you.
Okay, so 6:41, we can adjourn this meeting, and I thank everyone for your participation, and see you all at the upcoming board meeting.
Right.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank you
you.
very much.